They fuck you up, your mom and dad. They don't mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults that they had and add some extra just for you. But they were fucked up in their turn by fools in old-style hats and coats who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats. Man hands on misery to man, and it deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out as early as you can and don't have kids yourself. That poem by Philip Larkin is called Be This the Verse. Very aptly titled, and it's about, just kidding, it's pretty obvious what it's about. The book for today's no spoiler review, I think it's pretty well summed up by that poem. And it's Mother's Milk by Edward St. Aubyn. So today we are in here because out there something else is happening, and it's pretty cool because you can see a bit of behind the scenes. But I feel like I know Edward St. Aubyn. Of course, I don't know him at all, actually. So I'm really just trumpeting out of my own ass here. But it's a particular British establishment type. So think Saltburn, but not that scene. English private education, Oxbridge, that sort of thing. And the friends I'm thinking of, well, they would have wiki bios that would be very similar to St. Aubyn's. Or at least Patrick Melrose, who's the protagonist in Mother's Milk, seems like those friends I have in mind. And not just in the ways I'm about to mention. They are cavalier drinkers. They are cavalier substance experimenters, hedonists to the max. And, great people to know. Through them, through these friends, I've met very interesting people. And in and of themselves, they are extremely entertaining company. But it's more so summed up with an attitude that they have. And it's not just entitlement. Of course, most are titled in some way, like the first Baronet of Leven. That's St. Aubyn's great-great-granddad. It's like an attitude of a sort of person who embodies or just looks like their family lawyer. Their fees would be more than what your mom or my mom and dad would make in a year. But anyway, that's just my imagination connecting dots, okay? I do not know St. Aubyn. He is, though, a writer and a journalist who is most known for his semi-autobiographical Patrick Melrose series. Mother's Milk is the Man Booker Prize shortlisted 4th installment in the 5-book series. So Mother's Milk is structured you get a snapshot 1 month over the summer of the Melrose family's holiday together from the point of view of their kids, or at least one of their kids who's 6 or something, from their dad, Patrick, and also from their mother as well, actually. And maybe even, if I remember, from their toddler as well. What I can say is that Mother's Milk is so well observed and put into language, kind of like how Educated by Sarah Westover was, or is, how she is actually able to put into language the psychological process of her becoming her. But Mother's Milk is more discursive and emotionally driven and more microcosmy. But beyond that, I don't really know what more I can say. I feel like St. Aubyn really had to put himself there and semi-relive, because it's semi-autobiographical, those moments, second by second, and then catch every single thought and put them down into words, which is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Especially because it's also from the mom's point of view and also the kid's point of view too. And what I particularly liked was the highly intelligent, scornfully sarcastic undertone, that detached observation at a distance, while also managing to keep it so tight and intimate. And it's so subtextual. At times I was like, what are they actually talking about? Of course, I felt what they were talking about. Their emotions and their words, what they were meant to elicit, I felt it, but I just didn't get the superficial part of the conversation. Like, they might be talking about breakfast, but they're not really talking about breakfast. Mother's milk charts how we become our parents. Generational trauma. Like, however we resist or rebel, eventually that core parentness that we hate, it just persists and raises its head in exactly the ugliest of ugly ways you don't want it to manifest. He does it with the mom, he does it with the dad. And how St. Aubyn shows so freaking well is how it's taking shape in the kids as well. Like, it's like those reptilian claws of Philip Larkin's first line. They fuck you up, your mom and dad. And it's already breaking the psycho-emotional membrane of the kid's psyche with that terrifying grip. It's kind of terrifying reading it. Because like sometimes I have these thoughts, I'm sure you have them too. It's really more an intuition when I'm with my mother or brother or even a friend, and I'm like, oh, I understand you now. And I get like an insight of myself too, good or bad. And for the briefest of instances, all of the dots are connected in that one momentary intuition, which if I could like click and expand it, it would cover an ineffable eternity. And that is what St. Aubyn is able to capture. I don't really know how. And because it just seems so impossible. It's genius. Man, I really don't know what else to say. I wish I had more to say. It's one of those books. It's worth the read. Definitely. It just threw me in there into the tumble dryer of generational trauma, and I came out with my eyes just opened to a new depth of self-examination, and my mouth was just agog, open, but searching for shit to say because I just didn't, I can't say what it is that I want to say because of this book. It's also funny. It's short, another tactical selection. It's moving. It borders on the absurd in as much as it embodies the absurdity of our indescribable lives. And like, I'm so tempted to label it the book Mother's Milk, and the author, Edward St. Aubyn, I'm so tempted to label it genius. But rather than desperately reaching for like tenuous words, I'm just going to call it here. So if you like this no spoiler review of Edward St. Aubyn's Mother's Milk, please do like, share, subscribe. Next is Shogun Volume 2, which kind of feels like normal service resumed again. And well, now I'm caught up with all of my reviews. So I guess so long, and thank you for all the